be seated. The public interview for the position of Chief Justice is now open. Attorney Oracheta, please introduce the candidates to be interviewed today and administer the oath. Yes, ma'am.
This is a public panel interview of candidates for the position of Supreme Court Chief Justice, vice the retiring Honorable Lucas P. Bersamin. The panel of interviewers: Honorable Noel Jimenez Tiham, regular member representing the Academy. The Honorable Judge Toribio Ilaw Jr., regular member representing the private sector. And Honorable Judge Franklin de Monteverde, regular member representing the Integrated Bar of the Philippines. Your Honors, for interview this morning are the following: Justice Diosdado M. Peralta and Justice Jose Reyes Jr. May I request you to raise your right hand for the oath? Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth in this public panel interview by the Judicial and Bar Council? So help you God. Your Honors, the first for interview will be Justice Peralta. May I request Justice Reyes to stay in the holding room while the interview of Justice Peralta is being conducted?
Good morning, Justice Peralta. Thank you for coming for the interview. We are complying with the constitutional process of nominating and selecting the candidate, the nominee for Chief Justice. This is a constitutional process exercised practically all over the world, including the United States. The first to interview you is Judge Franklin de Monteverde, regular member representing the IBP.
Thank you, Justice Tiham. Morning, Justice Peralta.
Good morning, sir.
Yeah. I was going over your records, and you are now 67 years old,
That's correct.
and in 2.5 years you will be retiring.
Yes.
Now, in that span of time, assuming that you will be appointed as the Chief Justice, what will be the future of the judiciary under your watch?
I think it will be much better, Your Honor.
How better will it be?
Well, I had some programs to be implemented for the next 2.5 years. If you I may be allowed,
Yeah, go ahead.
you may be allowed to read them because I enumerated them. Then may I, Your Honor?
Go ahead, please.
Number one, that we will try to eliminate backlog in the Supreme Court and all other courts. We have to start from our home and lead by example. Introduce timelines for the resolution of motions and other case incidents as we have done in the lower courts. Continue and improve the filtering system we are presently adopting or implementing in the Supreme Court. Automate court processes and incorporate court technology. Focus on skills-based training for judges and court personnel, like what we have been doing in continuous trial and criminal cases. Also in small claim cases, likewise in plea bargaining cases, and also oral sentencing in plea bargaining cases and also in plea of guilty to the crime. Continue weeding out misfits from the judiciary. Monitor performance in all courts. Improve procurement bidding, because this has been the perennial problem, Your Honor, especially those courts outside of Metro Manila. Then we will try to strengthen the Office of the Court Administrator. We will implement the Judiciary Integrity Board, which we have already approved, and harmonize its functions to the functions of the Office of the Court Administrator. Then continue to revise the rules of courts. Your Honor, these are some of the projects, to me, these are the projects that should be implemented if I be given the chance to serve the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court, Your Honor.
Thank you, Justice Peralta. Now, in my years of practice as a judge, one of the reasons that we have had a backlog of cases was the failure of our criminal cases to go on regularly, meaning from Monday to Friday. In our province before, we have a docket criminal cases running to about 80 to 82% of the court. And because of lack of prosecutors and foul lawyers, we only, instead of holding 5 hearings a week, we only hear one time. So does your program include a dialogue between between the Department of Justice and
In fact, Your Honor, there's not a program of this Justice Zone in the Supreme Court. It is a coordination between the three branches of government, or 2 branches of government, the Office of the Secretary of the Department of Local Government to take care of policemen or witnesses from the National Police. We have also the Secretary of the Department of Justice, takes care of those prosecutors and probably foul lawyers also, and probably witnesses from the National Bureau of Investigation, and then the Supreme Court. Now, these are problems that are now being addressed by the Justice Zone. And if you allow me, Your Honor, probably if you have retired in 2011, I think, we implemented the continuous trial in 2017, no?
Yeah.
And if you look at the book of the performance of the Supreme Court that we submitted to Congress for purposes of defending the budget, you will see there the improvement of the resolution of criminal cases.
Justice Peralta, when I was president of the Philippine Judges Association, I brought this matter up before then Chief Justice Sereno. The delay in the hearing of criminal cases. And true to form, in one of the sessions, in one of the fora, she was able to bring out the problem. But from there on, nothing has been done about it.
Yeah.
So I hope that under your watch, you can help us on this.
If you allow me, Your Honor, just to answer your question,
Yeah.
and then to be precise with my answer, we implemented a continuous trial of criminal cases effective September 1 of 2017. And that program has been ongoing for the past 2 years. Now, we have a data, if you allow me, because this is a data that was submitted to the Congress to defend our budget. You will see there how we have been performing by reason of continuous trial. In the data that I will discuss this afternoon on my metropolitan lecture, the data shows that 94% of the cases that underwent the continuous trial were decided within the 10-month period. And then in drug cases, because they have a different period, 40% of the cases were decided within 75 days. And then if you use the 10-month period for drug cases to be resolved, it would have been 86.4%. So I think that is an effective tool of reducing the dockets of the court.
One of the effective means of reducing.
Yes, sure.
The
Of course, there
docket.
are other tools. For example, probably just to inform the body, we have also developed the skills of judges in plea bargaining cases. Like in drug cases. The drug cases that have been subjected to Plea bargaining is as many as 31,000 cases. And for the information of the body, Your Honor, we have 100,000 drug cases filed every year with only 1,040 RTC. So our judges have a really hard time, of resolving all these cases. But we are trying our best. And the data will show that we have been performing well. And then I think our judges are now happier today than before because their dockets have been reduced considerably, Your Honor.
Thank you, Justice Peralta. Now, since 2016, it was recorded that at least 35 lawyers, judges, and prosecutors were killed in the line of duty.
Yes, Your Honor.
The Philippine Judges Association sought the creation of a martial system in the aftermath of these recorded killings.
Yeah.
And according to them, establishing special marshals under the supervision of the Supreme Court may help prevent further killings.
That's correct, Your Honor.
Do you think this is a good solution to the problem?
That's a good, that's a excellent solution, because when one's life is in danger, what we usually do is to go seek help from the police agencies, and the policemen are not under our control and supervision. And we have our own marshals, then they will be reporting to us. We'll have control and supervision of them. Then judges' life will be safer. What the problem, Your Honor, is this: can the Supreme Court open positions for marshals without violating the rule that only Congress can appoint or can create offices? That's why there was a proposal, and I'm a privy to that. During our budget hearing, I proposed then to the majority floor leader 2 years ago that if they could help us come up with a bill for the creation of marshals for the Supreme Court, because of these too many deaths, and too many deaths, not only deaths, threats received by judges, and that was the problem that they posed. We will have problem of budgeting. You will have problem where we replace them. You will have problem of control supervision. Judges are not used to supervising armament and so on. So that's it. That's what I think. We can again propose for the creation and office of the marshal, something like that, under the Supreme Court, Your Honor.
Thank you, Justice Peralta. During our interview for lower court judges, it was mentioned by some interviewees that there is a scarcity of stenographers serving in the lower courts, and according to them, this largely contributed to the backlog of cases. Assuming that you will be appointed as Chief Justice, how will you address this problem in order to avoid the accumulation of more cases in the lower courts?
That is really a serious problem, Your Honor, because some of our stenographers have been transferring to other offices. That I can recall that was one of the questions asked of me in a Senate hearing. Why do we have a lot of vacancies? And then I told them that we had problems with the stenographers because instead of having 4 stenographers in one court, we have only 1 or 2. And they asked me, where are they now? Your stenographers, Your Honor, all came from the RTC of Manila. And true, they were all there. Now, we are now presently employing contractual stenographers, Your Honor, to solve the problem in the meantime. But the real problem is that we had problem on compensation. I think they only received salary grade 14. That means so not even 20,000 basic pay. And you have the stenographers from the private firms. They have salaries of 40,000 also in the Senate. So in the meantime that we have problem on this, probably we have to continue hiring contractual stenographers. Anyway, Your Honor, their work has been lightened in the first level courts. Because in the first level courts, all direct testimonies of witnesses are now in affidavit form. So they will no longer take down the testimony of the witnesses as they testify, because they will now be using affidavits instead of oral testimony. So what will be they taking, Your Honor, will be the cross-examination or the questions that may be propounded by the presiding judge. By the way, Your Honor, during that hearing, one of the senators, chief of staff, came to me, and she said, through the chief of staff, I will sponsor a bill to exempt the judiciary from the coverage of the salary standardization law. And I read the bill, Your Honor, it's not pending in the Senate. I hope that if that bill will be approved, and all the employees of the judiciary will be exempted from the standardization law, I think it would be easier to invite people from the private sector to join us, especially the stenographers. I hope that the JBC will be included in the exception.
Okay, thank you. Now, this is a very important question. How will you address the public's continued perception of the Philippine judiciary as corrupt?
Okay, Your Honor. This has been the problem because, as we all know, perception is greater than reality. People tend to hear perception rather than the reality. The reality, Your Honor, is that there are only few who are misfits. Like in any other organizations, there are always bad eggs. But the perception is that if one judge is corrupt, then everybody is corrupt. And that is a bad perception. And we have been telling everybody, we have been advertising, we have been publishing all those court personnel judges who have been disciplined. In other words, in your Honor, that's a bad perception, as I said. But the reality is, the judiciary should not to be perceived as corrupt because there are only few bad eggs. So what we can do probably, Your Honor, is to, kasi, the judiciary, among the all three branches of government, the judiciary is the weakest. It's the weakest, Your Honor. I myself cannot go to the media and have interviewed and tell them that you have been doing. That's the problem with us. Because we are rated by, or we are judged by the decisions that we write. But we cannot go to the media and explain to the media. We only use our public information officer, but his voice is limited. He cannot go beyond what we have been doing because it might be a privilege. It might be confidential in nature. So what we can do probably is to continue inform the public what we have been doing with all of these misfits, and I think that will help to change that perception, Your Honor.
Thank you. The orange light is on. I only have two more questions.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Okay. How will you enhance the efficiency in dispensing speedy justice?
In the lower courts or from the Supreme Court down to the...
Let's just concentrate on the lower courts.
Yeah, lower courts, yes, Your Honor. I am proud to say that our lower courts have been performing very well. Before we revised the small guidelines in 2015, Your Honor, the average docket of first level courts was something like 1,000. There were also lower courts in Metro Manila where the dockets used to be 1,500. And then in 2017, when we implemented September continuous trial, Your Honor, the dockets of the courts, first level courts, went down. And you can check the records. One of the judges, or most of the judges now, had a docket in Metro Manila because we use Metro Manila as the gauge because these are the courts that are heavily burdened. The docket, Your Honor, is already, the average is less than 100 in the first level court. In the second level court, we are trying our best, Your Honor, because in the second level courts, the second level courts are flooded with so many drug cases, and the first level courts have no jurisdiction insofar as drug cases are concerned. So all these cases are lumped with the RTC, but we are trying our best because some of the solutions, Your Honor, may be legislative in nature. So we are trying to adapt tools, develop the skills of judges, tools like plea bargaining, develop the skills of judges, implement the continuous trial, and I'm proud to say also that this continuous trial and plea bargaining cases and other tools, Your Honor, have considerably reduced the dockets of the court. And if I may be allowed, Your Honor, we are proposing, and I brought the idea to the NBAC, that it's now time to amend BP 129 on the jurisdiction of the RTC. Because if you remember, Your Honor, insofar as a sum of money is concerned in the first level court, the jurisdictional amount is 300 pesos for those outside of Metro Manila and 400,000 pesos. These amounts were fixed in 1999. And the amount in the recovery of possession, or I mean the recovery of ownership, except...
The red light is on.
Okay.
I'll have one question.
Okay, Your Honor.
What makes you say you are better qualified now than you were the last time you applied for the Chief Justice position?
Now, for all these years, Your Honor, even when I was in the private company, I always practice this principle. I lead by example, Your Honor. And I believe that I have the qualities of a good leader. With the number of years that I've been with the Supreme Court and as a trial judge, I think I'm better now to be Chief Justice if given the chance.
Thank you, Justice Peralta.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Justice Mendoza.
Thank you very much, Judge De Monteverde. Justice Tiha.
Good morning, Chief. I address you as Chief because when we were together in the court, you were senior in the court. I have known you for many years, but professional ethics demand that I do not say anything to defend you or highlight your accomplishments. To those people who do not know you up close and personal, who might have a different impression of your personality, are you by nature an arrogant, difficult, unapproachable person? And if so, are these endearing qualities of a good Chief Justice?
Yeah, Your Honor, please, I think you were Justice Mendoza, and you were with me many times during the deliberation. Probably you will be the first to tell to everybody if I'm arrogant or not. Probably they misinterpret arrogance to passionate. I admit that I'm passionate in all the deliberations, and I'm passionate especially when judges are charged with serious offenses. And I always insist in all our deliberations that we have to impose the severest penalty if the judge has committed a serious offense. Insofar as being arrogant also probably outside the courtroom, Your Honor, it will be lifting myself, so to speak, if I say that probably I'm the most approachable justice in the Supreme Court. That's really what I am. That's really what I am, Your Honor.
I will not ask you about the Adam and Eve question about addressing the problem of docket congestion, because that has been asked repeatedly in all interviews before the JBC, and interesting and answers were given. But up to now, it seems that we cannot address really the matter of case congestion, not unless we limit the number of cases that go up to the Supreme Court, or we change the mindset of the public that they should accept decisions which are correct and fair without waiting for it to reach the Supreme Court. So are there measures being undertaken so that, like the U.S. Supreme Court, there might be some cases which need not be elevated to the Supreme Court on certiorari, and then the Supreme Court can decide which cases it should take cognizance of?
There was a time when we were consulted by the former Chief Justice. I think you were not there. I was suggesting, Your Honor, that one justice from each of the three divisions, on a rotation basis, will be tasked to filter all these cases before they are assigned or before they are raffled. But the problem in that suggestion that I had is that, but the Supreme Court, but the But the cases in the Supreme Court should be decided by the en banc or by division. That was the problem. So my suggestion was not taken. So we had to continue with what I've been doing. But two or three sessions ago, when Justice Sardelesa came out with that case in Samar, where we had now to dismiss cases if there is a violation of hierarchy of court, I suggested likewise that we should to include dismissal of cases based on due course. Because with Rule 45, which is a discretionary appeal, I'm sorry if the answer is long, because for the understanding also of the public, Your Honor, we all know that if it is brought to the court on Rule 45, which is a discretionary appeal, we use what we call deny the petition on the ground that no reversible error. That's what we have been doing for final time. Now if it's Rule 65, then we say, despite no God, this case with the grave abuse of discretion. We've been doing that. Now the problem, Your Honor, is that I had, in fact, I brought this out. I said, with due respect to my colleagues, I said that if the petitions are original petitions before the court, and it is concurrent with the Court of Appeals, for example, writ of habeas data, writ of amparo, continuing mandamus, the writ of calitasan, all these petitions are concurrent with the Court of Appeals. If the justice, the member in charge studies it, and it is not in accordance with form and substance, then we deny that due course. That's one of my suggestions. Because in the meantime, these are only the solutions. They are the solutions that we can
It's not the fault of the Supreme Court, because the bottleneck really is in the Supreme Court.
Yeah.
Because you take into consideration all cases coming from the lower courts. Yeah. Now, my other question is, are you aware of the judicial bureaucracy, the organization in the judiciary? You have something like almost 2,000 probably judges nationwide. The justice system will fail if judges misbehave, and even lawyers who are under the supervision of the Supreme Court, because lawyers are granted the privilege to practice law by the Supreme Court, and there are about more than 100,000 probably practicing lawyers already. The question is, how do you monitor that lawyers do not misbehave? How do you monitor that judges do not misbehave? Considering that you only have the office of the court administrator, which office may be undermanned. Now, I understand, I am fully aware that we assume that lawyers do not misbehave or judges do not misbehave if there is no complaint.
That's correct.
That's the only time we come into the picture. So, for example, the IPP, I don't think effectively police their own ranks. They investigate lawyers if a complaint is filed against lawyers. In the same token, the Supreme Court does not monitor the performance of judges unless somebody complains. And the only time the court administrator monitors is with so far as work output is concerned, fiscal accountability, and things like that. So how can you effectively initiate reforms if you do not monitor their performance?
Well, first one, Your Honor, we have really problems of lack of personnel in the office of the court administrator. We have only 11 judicial supervisors conducting audits, probably around 2,500 courts now, because we have created family courts and also other courts. With only 9 judicial officers. And that's correct. The Supreme Court will only act if a complaint is filed. But when I was interviewed the last time, Your Honor, I suggested that we can now apply the principle of res ipsa loquitur. That if there is no complainant and we see that the decision is really wrong, misapprehended the facts, misapplied the law, favor a party, a motion for inhibition must file against him, he did not inhibit. I think even if there is no complainant, we can do that because we have been also doing in the past. In fact, in one of the cases that I wrote now, I said that this judge should be investigated on the principle of surreptitio tutor. I have been advocating that principle, Your Honor, because you cannot wait a party to file a complaint. In the meantime, that you are waiting for a complaint, tuloy-tuloy pa rin nag-misbehave nung judge. Like one judge in Panikitarlac, deciding cases of annulment, he was under suspension, Your Honor. That's number one. But insofar as the lawyers are concerned, Your Honor, that's really a problem because we do not have the resources to monitor all the performance of all lawyers unless of course, if the IDP will actively participate in policing their own ranks.
U.S. Justice Felix Frankfurter refers to the Supreme Court as an institution where every justice is his own sovereign. They are independent, just like here in the Philippine Supreme Court. How can you effectively, promptly initiate reform if you have to go to the en banc and secure the approval of the majority? In all instances.
That's what they've been doing in the en banc sessions, Your Honor. If you have your opinion, then present your opinion. Then defend your opinion. If they do not believe on your opinion, like because of the practice of democracy, then let's vote. If your opinion is not accepted, the majority, then your opinion becomes dissenting opinion, and then you voice up
the
your
reforms
opinion.
that you will initiate might be stymied or impeded only because you have to ensure collegiality within the court.
Yeah,
now, the presence of the 15 members of the bank, they are concentrated mainly on decision making, the way I look at it, but they do not monitor the performance of the judiciary. Is it not about time that there should be a performance evaluation of all judges? Because at any rate, the Constitution speaks of judges shall continue in office during good behavior, meaning to say they're not only intellectually competent, emotionally competent, mentally competent, and efficient. So the point is, why not tap the Philippine Judicial Academy and the JBC to conduct an annual performance evaluation of judges so that the PhilJA can take care of the skills and the attitude of judges, their technical knowledge of the law, and the JBC can handle the mental competency of judges. That is something which you can seriously consider.
That's well taken, Your Honor. In fact, one of my programs, if given the chance to serve, is to monitor the performance of judges. My experience in the Supreme Court is this, Your Honor. Probably, with due respect to my colleagues, probably I'm the most traveled justice of the Supreme Court now, because I've been traveling for the past 4 years, lecturing on small claims, developing skills of judges. And when the judges see me, Your Honor, their morale is high. And I communicate with them. I know their problem. And I bring the court administrator and the deputy court administrator, and then I ask them to answer their queries. And there was a suggestion, I suggested them, Your Honor, that why should we, the justices of the Supreme Court, be divided into several groups? And let us see, you will be assigned places to oversee or supervise, so that we can see also how the judges are performing, and also to boost their morale, because it's different if a member of the court is with them most of the time, Your Honor.
Talking about your foreign travel, you've been to many places attending seminars, either as a participant to enhance your judicial training and experience, and also lecturing in foreign countries. If appointed Chief Justice, will you still be doing the same thing and be an absentee Chief Justice?
That's a good question, Your Honor. Modesty aside, Your Honor, all these years, I have not, all these years, there are times that I did not make use of my wellness, Your Honor, because people say I'm a workaholic. But if given the chance to become a Chief Justice, Your Honor, I will still see to it that I will have time to go around the Philippines and see the judges. but no longer on regular basis, of course, Your Honor, because we have to consent. We will now have more administrative work than judicial work.
Talking about international convention seminars, making them available to judges, would you be willing to rationalize it? Should participation in foreign international conventions be limited to judges who are outstanding or to judges? Because if judges are outstanding, then they're already excellent. They don't need further training. So probably you should farm it out and give it to judges who have lesser training. Would you agree with that?
That's a good suggestion, Your Honor, but in my case, my members of my committee have been helping me in all these endeavors, in the small claims, in the continuous trial, environmental, and so on, Your Honor. I always make it a point to include them in training programs abroad.
About courthouses, halls of justice, isn't it about time that we should ask the LGUs to shoulder the expense of constructing halls of justice, because at any rate the judiciary is serving the constituents and the LGUs?
That I hope you will agree with me, Your Honor. It's this year. Remember when we decided the case of DAP? If the DILG or the local government will spend for the building of the Supreme Court, there might be a question of cross-border transfer of funds, Your Honor. It is put up by the executive government and it is used by a different branch of government. A question may be raised that might be a cross-border transfer of funds, which we decided in that case of DAP is not allowed by the Constitution. Number two, Your Honor, my suggestion is that the Supreme Court should now form its own bidding committee. Kasi dito sa Supreme Court, ad hoc eh. When you speak of ad hoc, we get the chief of the legal, chief of the FMBO, and then they become members of an ad hoc committee bidding. Why not put up a committee for that purpose? Kaya mga infrastructure projects minsan, nadidelay po eh. Yun ang sasuggest ko, put up an office. These chiefs of other offices, I'm not saying that they are honest. Of course, they are very honest. No? Unquestionable integrity yan eh. But what do you expect from them? They have also a lot of work to do. In the OCA, Raul Villanueva, Deputy Court Administrator, taking care of all the courts outside of Metro Manila and Luzon, being a member of the bidding committee. The chief of the attorney's office, member of the bidding, all ad hoc eh. So but why not put up a bidding committee for that purpose, so that they can also help the needs of the JBC?
Now let me go to some high-profile cases you decided. You decided the case of Estipona, where the court struck down the provision in the drugs law which prohibits plea bargaining in drug cases. And the court, and I was a part of it, I concurred in your ponencia, that particular provision prohibiting plea bargaining in drug cases is unconstitutional. But there is perception from some sectors in government that it sort of put a damper on the drug campaign cases because it stymied the effectivity of their drug operation.
Yeah, I hope you will. I will be a longer answer, Your Honor. It's like this. We came up with a framework in plea bargaining after consultation with the Department of Justice through the Prosecutor General, the judges, the PDEA, the policemen. All of these people were consulted on this framework, the possibility, what should be the subject matter of plea bargaining. The problem in our second level court, Your Honor, is that there are 100,000. The data shows that there are 100,000 drug cases filed before the court, and 70% of these drug cases are cases involving Section 5, which is the sale or transport of delivery of dangerous drugs. 70%. And 90% of this 70%, Your Honor, are sale of less than 1 gram of dangerous drug or 3 sticks of marijuana. So we all agreed that we can enter into a plea, kasi that's their problem on Section 5. They do not have problem on the other section, Section 5. So sabi namin, even in the Supreme Court, I think you were in the Supreme Court, most of the cases that are brought to us, Your Honor, sa tingin ko, since I joined the court, there were only 2 cases, more than 1 gram, or more than 10 or 1 kilogram of marijuana that I handled. Most of the cases, pati kayo sa tingin ko, less than 1 gram. So we agreed that we will allow plea bargaining in Section 5 only when the subject matter of the plea bargaining is less than 1 gram. And in marijuana, when it is less than 10 grams. Yun lang yun eh. Ang problema, they have the perception that, kasi plea bargaining, yan si Peralta kasi, kaya marami na-dismiss, yan ang sinasabi nila. Eh akala nila, pati 1 kilo, pati 1/2 kilo, eh kasama na yun. Hindi po eh.
Right.
Less than 1 gram lang eh.
My time is almost up. Last 2 questions. You're also the ponente in that case and the good conduct time allowance. And the court held that it can be applied retroactively.
Yeah,
Now,
that's correct.
the ruling in the case of Estepona, can it be given retroactive effect as well?
No, Your Honor, because I will distinguish that, Your Honor. When you speak of a penalty, Your Honor, the law must be given retroactive effect because that is favorable to the accused. That's very clear under Article 22 of the Revised Penal Code, unless if the offender is a habitual delinquent.
Yeah, but the plea bargaining as well will affect.
No, Your Honor. Plea bargaining is a procedural law. It has nothing to do with penalty. It is merely a procedure undertaken by the courts to address court delay. To tell you, Your Honor, in the United States of America, plea bargaining is the general rule. In all foreign jurisdictions, plea bargaining is a general rule rather the exception. That's why we always ask, why is it that in the federal courts in the United States of America, they have only few cases? Because of effective plea bargaining. The first time that the judge will do, when the case is brought to the court, they will say, you enter into plea bargaining.
Right.
Practical na, the parties are forced to enter eh. Eh dito tayo, negative eh.
All right, my last question, Your Honor, is 2 senators of the U.S. Senate filed a bill to ban people who participated in fostering the continued detention of Senator Laila de Lima. I distinctly remember that you and I participated in that decision. Can you make, well, of course, we denied the petition of the senator because of the violation of the hierarchy of courts. What is your comment on members of a foreign Congress commenting on decisions of Philippine courts?
Well, I think what I understand from the resolution is that all those responsible for jailing, or depriving liberty to Senator De Lima will be banned from going.
Are you going to the U.S. sometime soon?
That's the problem. Somebody from the Senate was asking me during a hearing of the budget last Monday that you are included there. I said, no problem with me. They've been the one inviting us to go to the United States of America. It has been USAID that have been undertaking our judicial programs through the Abaroli and the Asia Foundation. I do not know why they came out with that resolution, Your Honor. And you know that they've been coming here. They are willing to help us. There is another program that we are about to implement. I think you are aware of that, Your Honor. The special rules on admiralty cases for your information, because you are very much interested. The NBank has already approved. Now here comes the U.S. Embassy coming to us again. They are now offering us to travel to America and observe the admiralty courts, how they resolve cases on admiralty cases.
Okay.
I don't know what's the
Thank you and good luck.
Thank you also, Your Honor.
Thank you very much, Justice Stephen.
Yes, thank you, Justice Mendoza, chairperson of this council. Yes, good morning.
Good morning, Your Honor.
All right. When asked by Justice Tiam regarding the alleged perception of the people here in the Supreme Court that you're, even in public, that you're arrogant, can you explain that you are not arrogant, but rather you just speak with passion?
Yeah,
you are passionate.
I think the best witnesses could be my colleagues in the Supreme Court, Your Honor, past and present. how they size me up, or how they had been observing all these years, Your Honor. But as I said, if somebody has committed something wrong, Your Honor, I'm passionate on that, because I cannot relax my position and then say, "Di okay na, I cannot do that." Because all these years I came from the ranks, I know how judges work, and I know how people rate us when we were judges. Kung ganon, sabi nila, arrogante daw ako, ang unang witnesses ko, all those people who approach me every morning. When I arrive in the morning at 8 o'clock, Your Honor, you ask them how I treat them if I am arrogant. Nami-misinterpret lang yun Your Honor. Justice Mendoza can attest to what I've been saying, because even Justice Noel, Your Honor, we were together in 1994. We were appointed together at the same time. We were together for more than 8 years. Even Justice Mendoza, we were also together for 8 years, and then we have been together in the Supreme Court. Now we are again together. So I don't know why they get that description of mine as arrogant. Ako nga, to tell you frankly, Your Honor, sobrang bait ko nga Ang dami kong pinapautangan, hindi ko na nakakalimutan ko na all my employees All their needs, Your Honor, you ask those drivers who drive for me, tanongin ninyo. I come from abroad, all of them, maraming pasalubong yan. That's why I suffered buti tinanong na ninyo. I am now undergoing therapy because of a pulled calf muscle. It's very painful. I had to stay inside my hotel for 3 days. And you know why? Because the first thing that I did was to buy pasalubong to my staff, Your Honor. That's correct. Justice Mendoza and Justice Ascona can attest. Yun bang arrogante?
Yes,
Sasaktan ako
You're not arrogant to other people. How about how passionate are you with your wife and family?
Sa tingin ko, Your Honor, I'm a good father. I'm a good father and a good husband. Never in our lives, married life, Your Honor, nag-away kami yan ng serious. At saka, Your Honor, it's very hard for a wife to issue a warrant of arrest against the husband. She's capable
And how many children do you have with your wife?
How many children? We have 4, Your Honor. One, the eldest is just past the bar. I had twin sons, and then I had my youngest, who is only 16 years old, because I married late, Your Honor. They always ask me, why is it that your son is only 16 years old? Sabi ko, to be frank about it, I thought that I will not marry anymore because I was married to my job. And Justice Callejo can attest to that also. Because he did not like me to, anyway, that's another thing, Your Honor. Private na siya, no?
Yes, I still remember that when we interviewed the last time, that you started late and you had the first child when you were 39 years old.
Almost 6 days before I turned 37, Your Honor. And in all places, I met my wife inside the courtroom in Manila.
All right, Justice Peralta, if appointed, you will be the ex officio chairperson of the Judicial and Bar Council. How will you lead this council?
Your Honor, I will lead as the way I led when I was presiding justice, and then I had the occasion to lead presiding justice of Sandigan Bayan. When I have also the occasion to lead the House of Representatives Electoral Tribunal as a chairman and the SET, Your Honor. As I always say, I lead by example. Now, insofar as the workings of the JBC, I will observe collegiality. All the members shall have their own opinion, that all opinions must be respected, and we have to obey, if that is the role of the majority. Now, in order to improve the system, Your Honor, you are better than I, because I come from a different world. I do not know your work here, but what I see from the JBT is that you are undermanned. I think that's the one that I can observe, because I had that experience also. We have only one head of the screening committee. I think there is no deputy. You have Attorney Capacity, she has no deputy. You have a lot of applicants, sometimes hundreds of applicants, interviewing all these applicants. I do not know where you get your energy interviewing all these applicants. I think that's the first one that we have to resolve if I will come here. And I will need your inputs because I said I come from a different world. What I can only say is that probably I will continue leading by example.
We are also passionate. Imagine all of us are over septenarian. About more than 70, 71, 70.
Yeah, you're right. Well, when you are getting older, Your Honor, you try to mellow down. Nagme-mellow ka pag tumatanda na eh. So, mas maganda yun.
So, what are your thoughts on your application process?
The process here, Your Honor, that we have undertaken, well, I hope you will understand our comments. The comments is that there are too many documents that we have to submit. Why is there a need to submit a police clearance or NBI clearance when you're already a sitting justice? That's number one. Why do we have to come up with all these requirements like decision and so on, output and so on, when they can be readily accessed from from our data? Nandun naman lahat yun eh. So ang sinasabi ko lang po, dapat sana i-simplify yung process. If the vacancy is a Chief Justice, then isi-simplify lang because we have been here already for a long time. And I think that's what you did, and we are thankful for that. But it became a little bit late when we received that information. I have already prepared my applications at that time. But we thank you for that, Your Honor. Now, to the applicants from the RTC going to the Court of Appeals, then probably we have also to reduce the documentary requirements, because I know that the screening committee will have a hard time if you have 100 applicants reviewing all these documents, Your Honor. There will be a delay in the interview of all these applicants. Kaya we thank you for simplifying the application of justices to the position of the Chief Justice, Your Honor.
Well, we have improved the JBC website, and we have also this online application scheduler.
Yeah.
Can you add any?
I
to
think
this
I
program of the JBC now?
of course you have to increase your. You mean comments on the program of the JBC now, Your Honor? Yeah, of course your website. I was there when it was introduced by you and discussed by Justice Noel. That's a good. In fact, my proposal in all courts should now be automated because it has been effective in all e-courts in Metro Manila. So I appreciate the adoption of automation, opening up a website of the Judicial Bar Council instead of calling up, and then you can open the website, and then you know what are the vacancies and what are the deadlines. And I also appreciate, Your Honor, that in spite of your limited resources, you were able to achieve the objective of as much as possible. Make the recommendation of qualified applicants for the vacancies in the judiciary. Ang yun lang po, ang sabi ko nga, I think kulang tayo po ng personnel eh. Sa tingin ko po, ang hirap kumuha po ng plantilla eh. Even in the Supreme Court, pag kumuha ko ng plantilla, you have to submit that to the DBM for approval eh.
So everything will be automated, including presiding judges and presiding justices?
Yes, Your Honor. That's my proposal. For the information of the body, Your Honor, there are now automated courts in Metro Manila. We now send e-subpoena to government officers, to policemen. We now, in fact, we are now including in our rules on civil procedure and also in the rules on evidence that we will not be using e-subpoena, no? And processes will now be through internet or email. Talaga dapat automated na lahat, Your Honor.
And how could you maximize technology and social media in the Supreme Court?
may beg your indulgence, Your Honor? What's the-
Yes, how could you maximize technology and social media in the Supreme Court?
Maximize technology, Your Honor? Well, in disseminating what we have been doing, is that you know that? Okay. Well, we can use the Public Information Office, Your Honor, through automation. You can send through social media what we've been doing. We can do that, Your Honor.
And can you describe your leadership style? How do you move or steer people in the direction you wish?
As a private person, or
Even for a private or a professional?
well, if it's in the judiciary, in the Supreme Court, Your Honor, of course you have to argue your position so that your position will be accepted by the others. You have to very well argue your position in order to convince the others. In my private capacity, Your Honor, pag ako nagko-convince, medyo you have to be cordial with the person you are talking to so that the other person will listen to you. Because if you are not cordial with the other person, then probably you cannot convince the person to be with you. Now, if however what is requested of you is something wrong or something illegal, immediately I tell him or not, do not talk to me. I do not like that. That's what I do. That's probably what they say. Probably yan pang sinasabi na arrogante ako po. Kasi pag may nagpapalap sa akin, yan ang sinasabi ko. And they say, oh, you have a case with your wife, you talk to me. What do you think of me? If my wife is strict, the husband is also strict. That's what I say. Kaya sa tingin ko nami-misinterpret nila the way ay pari. Mga ganun na request. Well, kung yung let's say, Justice Dado, have you read this case? Can you share it with me? I share it with them, Your Honor. Can you deliver a lecture on this? Yes, why not? Pag ganun naman, approachable ako eh. Kung arrogante po ako eh, I do not know how to deal with people, Your Honor. I could not have accepted all the requests of PILJA to deliver lectures out of reach ako sa family ko every 2 weeks per month all these years, 4 years na po. Sabi ng misis ko, huminto ka na. Sabi mo, lahat. But I cannot say no eh. Ganun pa ako eh. Hindi ako, mahirap ako maghindi po. Kailan kong masama, ayun. That's, pare. Yun, marahil na nami-misinterpret nila.
And how do you gain the respect
Of others, Your Honor?
Yes,
That's
please.
But all these years, Your Honor, as I said, I've been leading by example. I come to the office at 8 o'clock in the morning. But I do not tell my staff to report at 8 o'clock. Nahiya na lang sila. Ganun yun eh. At paggawa ko ng cup, supposed to be distributed this Christmas, as early as Christmas, and the one who produced it, what is your best quotation that we will place? You know what I place there? Lead by example. That is the best, I think, that should be, I think for me, that's the best thing that you can do if you want to lead people. You have to lead by example, Your Honor.
What are your thoughts on judicial legislation? It is in relation to the case of Republic versus Vergara, March 20, 1997.
Yeah, Your Honor, that's a good question, Your Honor. There were, just to give you example, we have to respect the work of the legislative, Your Honor, because of that's an independent branch of government. If the solution to the problem is through legislation, then that should be done, Your Honor. Because the legislative branch of government has been respecting us also. That in their laws they see to it that the provisions of their laws do not interfere with the rule-making power of the Supreme Court under the Constitution. And, Your Honor, please, if you read my decision in the cases of Rolando Corpus, and also the cases of Polinares when I wrote a dissenting opinion, and the majority opinion in the case of People versus Dimacuta, and also in the cases of People versus Tulagan, where I borrowed the words of Justice Tiham in the case of People versus Boy Tagalog, because there is a problem on the penalty, I wrote there that the only solution to this is through amendment in the law. That's how I respect the power of the Supreme Court, I mean, of the Congress in enacting laws, Your Honor.
How about the case of Omali versus JBC, July 25, 2017,
that
also
was-
in relation to the judicial legislation?
That was, I cannot remember now, was I think the ponente was Justice Mendoza, I think so. Is that does that refer the membership of the, whether it is one for Congress and then one for the Senate? That was not actually a legislation, Your Honor. It was an interpretation of the Constitution. Because we had a problem, we were confronted with a problem. Because why is it that in the Constitution, nakalagay doon kasi, I remember now, whether or not dalawa ang members, one should come from Congress and then one should come from the Senate. Very clear sa Constitution Verbal legis one lang But the practice kasi, when the law became, when the JBC was constituted after the ratification of the 1987 Constitution, ang practice kasi dalawa agad Kasi sabi nila, why is it in the executive? Meron isa. Di ba? Yung legislative, dalawa May lower, may upper. Bakit? Iisa lang. Dapat dalawa yan. But, as early as the case filed by the late Solicitor General Frank Chavez, irinasolve na namin yan nun Because Senator Chis Escudero was already saying that dapat dalawang member nun So, that's not a judicial legislation, it's just like an interpretation of the Constitution. Ang sabi kasi nila, well, anyway, to shorten the answer, yun na lang po.
Arata, describe a situation where you and a colleague whom you relied upon for support were in conflict.
You mean to say, is a friend, you have been together, and then you have been supporting, and so on, Your Honor. That's not true, Your Honor.
And how did you
I
address
have a
the
friend,
situation?
very close friend, but we have also different positions in several cases. You have to be objective, Your Honor. Whether he's your friend or not, if you believe that you cannot join in, then so be it. Friendship ends when it comes to work, Your Honor. Ganon po tayo they know sila Justice Bambit in that case of Bank of Commerce, he dissented in my position.
How do you convince someone to do something they do not want to do?
If that is the case, Your Honor, I will not convince him anymore. I do not want to quarrel with my friend. If he says, I'm sorry, Justice Dado, I cannot support your position, then I will just say, I will respect. Hindi ko na itutuloy yun, mag-aaway lang po kami I don't want to be quarreling Sabi ko nga, Your Honor, sabi ko, ako ang friendliest I am the only one probably, and many will attest, Your Honor, that during a heated argument, ako ang sumisingit to lighten the debates Ako lang nakakapaggawa niyan because I want everybody to be friends Pagkatapos na, dapat everybody is a friend
Alright, only last question that I went around asking people in the Supreme Court what will be their observation if and when you're being appointed as a Chief Justice. There is really there's not at least questioning your integrity, competency, and independence. They'll only remarks that you are from the locus. You may be stingy or tightwad, giving benefits to the employees of the Supreme Court.
You know, Your Honor, what I told in the NBank last session, just Tuesday, we have to be prudent in utilizing our funds, and we should not take advantage of our fiscal autonomy. We will follow the law. I told them that the savings cannot be used for purposes other than personal services. If those amounts are intended for personal services and the employees deserve, give to them. They deserve. Iba yung kuripot po eh. Yung kuripot talaga, even if you have money, you do not want to spend. Hindi po ako ganun eh. Frugal po ako. I already learned a lot from my wife po kasi she's from Bulacan eh. Before probably, but not now, Your Honor. Naging prudent na lang.
Right. Thank you very much.
Thank you po, Your Honor. Thank you also for giving me the
And
chance, Your Honor.
good luck again.
Thank you po. Thank you. Thank you po.
Thank you very much, Judge Ilaw. Good morning, Justice. The questions I intended to ask were already covered by those questions of my colleagues. But I will just ask a few questions. This is most talked about by those in the judiciary, especially the justice and judges, trial court judges. This is with respect to the case of People versus Romelin. Yes, there has been criticisms that your decision in that case changed the perception of Section 21 as a provision on credibility or integrity of the evidence, but dismissibility. Can you clarify us on that?
I think you are still in the court, Your Honor. There was a problem raised by the First Division at that time as to the applicability of Section 1, because that Section 19165 provides that in the conduct of drug operation, a member of the media or barangay and a representative from the DOJ shall attend or shall be present during. But that three requirements, the three persons requirement was amended later on. Ginawa na ng dalawa. So barangay chairman and media or representative, dalawa na lang. And then the law provides further that if they cannot comply with the presence of the two, then they will have to justify the absence. And they will have to follow the requirement in order to preserve the integrity of the specimen, which the specimen must be marked in the nearest police station, it must be photographed, and there must be inventory. Yun po ang requirement. Eh, nandun kami sa Supreme Court po, parang conviction lahat yan, kinukonvict namin. And then there was an issue raised in the First Division which was brought to the en banc. I think you remember that through the working chairperson then was former Chief Justice Teresa de Castro. Because there were now different opinions eh. Ang sabi nila, what if that is not followed and that is a substantive requirement? Eh di you will acquit, sabi naman. Three of us, Your Honor, gave different opinion. My opinion is that, which was shared by Chief Justice Bersamin, we told them that there is a constitutional infirmity on Section 21 because it refers to a chain of custody, which will eventually raise the issue of admissibility. Kaya ang sabi ko, yung issue na yan, eh, may constitutional infirmity yan eh, because it encroaches on the power of the court on rulemaking. Kaya na natalo kami. Ang sabi natin na lang, we agree, okay, this is what we're going to do. We will not come up with a common list in the meantime because it will depend on the circumstances. So, ibabalik yan. Okay. Nung bumalik na yon, acquit na acquit. Acquit na acquit. You know why there were so many acquittals? Because during the trial, yung poor public prosecutor na probably not aware of the importance of that procedure, hindi nila tinatanong sa police. Why there were no barangay, bakit walang ganito, hindi tinatanong eh. In other words, they do not justify the absence, which is sexual. So, ano ngayon? Acquit ng acquit. So that case of mine, nadala ko dito. I wanted to protect and then save the cases of the prosecution. Dinala ko yan sa en banc. Ang sabi ko sa en banc, from here on, para hindi na magkamali ang mga police officers na yan, i-indicate na sa affidavit of arrest yung requirements sa affidavit of arrest. And because in continuous trial, that affidavit is now the direct testimony iyon na ipipresenta. Lahat nandun na yung justifications. It was for the purpose of building up cases. So that, if the affidavit of arrest is filed, at wala yung provision na yan, then the court may use Rule 112, Section 5, that he will refuse the issuance of a warrant of arrest or a commitment order, it will be dismissed without prejudice. Pwedeng i-refile yun eh. That will not cause for the acquittal. Ang sinabi nila, and that is procedural, and therefore, nakalagay sa decision eh, henceforth, in other words, prospective. Aba, ang ginawa na nila, yung ibang judges, ginagawa nilang acquittal na yan. Hindi. That lien is only for the purpose of filing. Henceforth, it's not a cause of acquittal. That's why I was shocked when people were saying, oh, yung decision mo, ginagawang acquittal. Ang sagot ko na lang, probably they do not know the rules. Yung Rule 112, Section 5, very clear. If there is no probable cause, dismiss the case without prejudice. And the judge should explain why he's dismissing it. And then if you comply with the rules, i-affidavit of arrest mo, palitan mo na lang. Yan. Eh di ipal mo na, di mag-issue na ng commitment order or warrant of arrest. Commitment order, judicial detention. Ay hindi ko sa acquittal. Because of acquittal is Section 21, which is not complied with by the arresting officer. Now, you ask them now what has been happening in the courts. Cases are better filed now. And that also will help the accused eh. Because if the case is properly built up, yung evidence lahat, the accused can intelligently prepare before trial. Alam na niya kung anong sasagutin eh. That's number one. Number two, if during the trial there is an inconsistent statement, the affidavit of arrest will not be utilized to impeach the testimony of the witness based on inconsistent statements. That's the problem, Your Honor, when judges, they do not have the skills to be confronted with this. Basta inisip na lang, gamitin na ito, acquit ng acquit. Mali. In fact, I instructed one of the judges there, you better recall your order of dismissal. Why? Eh, nag-trial ka na eh. Eh, di meron ka ng probable cause. Nag-trial ka na eh. So why do you have to go back na wala kang probable cause? You proceeded with the trial, then it is assumed na meron probable cause. Eh, bakit mo i-dismiss yan? And I think they are now well-educated, Your Honor, kaya wala silang problema. But it's good that you ask that question because that is the misconception. Ako pa ang unang Your Honor, to support those who are been violating drug cases. My records as a judge and a fiscal will show otherwise, Your Honor. Yun lang po eh.
Suppose the dismissal was after arraignment. Can it be recalled?
What do you mean, Your Honor? Trial has already been?
Yes, there has been an arraignment.
And what will be
And after that, the judge misconstruing your decision in Romelin.
Your
Can
Honor,
it be recalled?
Yeah, this is the problem, Your Honor. If the lien was already in effect at that time, Your Honor, and he went to trial, even if there is no probable cause, that will be problematic on the part of the judge. Because he should not have issued a commitment order if from the very beginning there is no probable cause. But if that case proceeded when there was no yet lien, because this one is prospective eh. Procedural law po ito eh. Walang retroactive effect ng procedural law as a rule eh. Eh bakit niya i-dismiss nag-proceed na ng trial eh? Mali po yung judge. He will have to proceed and then, because that will be unfair to the prosecution eh. You allow him to present evidence and then you say, I do not have probable cause. Baka pailan pa ng case yung judge eh. The first duty of a judge before anything goes to a criminal proceeding, Your Honor, is to determine the existence of probable cause. That is very basic. So why do you have to proceed to trial if you have already and then arraign him? That supposes that meron ng probable cause. Yun ang sinasabi ko sometimes we have to develop the skills of judges para hindi ho sila nami-misinterpret po eh.
We go to another point. In what case in which you were the ponente did you demonstrate your judicial philosophy? And what is your justification for your judicial philosophy? The way this was sent by one of your colleagues.
Your Honor, please, yung judicial philosophy kasi marami interpretations yan eh. Yung sa akin po, rights of the accused sa akin. My judicial philosophy is to fair, speedy trial, fair, just, and impartial, Your Honor. And my decisions, sabi nga nila, bakit ang karamihan ng mga decisions mo, criminal procedure and criminal law eh. Kasi ang philosophy ko nga eh, to afford due process to everybody, especially criminal cases. So, I have decided that case of Rolando Corpus. I think if you are not aware of that case of Rolando Corpus, that was a vehicle where for the first time the legislature amended the revised penal code and changed the amounts where the subject matter where the subject matter of the penalty are based on the amount, and there are 97 articles in the revised penal code that have been amended. And I am proud to say, Your Honor, that when I see all especially the sponsor of that bill, si Senator Dion, he always remembers that case of Rolando Corpus. It is you why we amended. That's also the case of the probation law, Your Honor. It was my decision in the Matuka, where the Congress amended the law on probation. You know, these are the things that probably I don't know, Your Honor, but pag philosophy kasi, I think we have to give fair, just, impartial, and speedy resolution of cases.
Another question sent in by one of your colleagues. For which ponencia would you think you could be acknowledged for your intellectual leadership?
Naku, marami ko eh. Kasi that I will be binubuhat ko yung sarili ko, bangko ko eh. Mahirap po yun eh. But I can enumerate some, but there are already many cases, Your Honor.
Just one or two.
What's again the question, Your Honor? The last one? Where I will be remembered?
Yeah, you could be acknowledged for your intellectual leadership.
No.
Not only leadership, but intellectual leadership.
There are many cases in remedial law, in criminal law, in criminal procedure, in taxation, political, constitutional law. Marami po yun eh. But if I will enumerate them, baka sabi nila, nagyayabang ako eh. Sabi ko, I'll just mention some na lang po. That case of Rolando Corpus, I think, is one. Although the court was divided, I think that one. The one that I append lately, probably that case of the retroactive effect of the 10591, the new law, the case that I brought to the court when the case already became final, and I convinced the court that it should be reopened. That case of Hernan versus Sandigan Bayan, when I said that 10591 should be given retroactive effect, and most of those who have been in jail were released because of 10591. Also the case of the one that I decided I can recall on political law or constitutional law, the limitation of airtime during election imposed by the COMELEC, which was very short, which was a unanimous decision. That may also be one. They always talk kasi marami po yun eh. The other case that when I wrote a decision about let me see, sa tax marami. Okay. And the one, Your Honor, this is the one.
Romilin,
marami
Estepona.
Estepona, Romilin, and even these inmates, the one that I wrote, giving retroactive effect, GCTA. And there's another one, Your Honor. This will benefit government officials. It was merely an unsigned resolution where a judgment rendered by the Sandigan Bayan, under the law or under their procedure, the mode of bringing up a decision of conviction in the Sandigan Bayan is through Rule 45. And as we all know, Rule 45 is a discretionary appeal. And I went over some of the cases that we decided that the convicted accused was not given any more a chance to give the comment and therefore reopen the case. Because you do not anymore reopen the case when you say no reversible error then dismiss. Then I came out with a simple resolution. I brought it to the en banc. This is unfair to government officials. Why? The only forum where a convicted accused in Sandigan Bayan, where he could go to question the decision, is sa Supreme Court lang eh. Eh sabi ko, mas maganda pa yung ordinary official who is convicted in the RTC for falsification of for malversation, because he can go to the Court of Appeals ordinary appeal. And when it is an ordinary appeal, Your Honor, as if there is no decision. Because it will be reopened as if there is no decision, everything is reviewed. Mas maganda pa yun eh. Eh kung natalo sa Court of Appeals, pumunta sa Supreme Court, pagkat si Rule 45, pwede mo nang discretionary appeal yun, pwede mo nang i-dismiss yan kung tama ang decision ng Court of Appeals eh. Ito sa Sandigan Bayan, salary grade, 26 and above. Governors, directors, cabinet members, if they are acquitted po, pupunta sa Supreme Court, we do not anymore review. Why? Because the mode of review is Rule 45, it is discretionary. So I wrote the en banc, in the case, it is an unsigned resolution, Your Honor, and they all agreed that if it is a Rule 45, then it should not be dismissed. And then when I was appointed as chair of the committee that reviewed the internal rules of Sandigan Bayan, I made it a point that the mode of appeal in case of decision of the Sandigan Bayan in its original jurisdiction, then it should be by ordinary appeal. However, decisions of the Sandigan Bayan in the exercise of appellate jurisdiction, then the mode of appeal that will go to the Supreme Court should be Rule 45. And that's what they've been doing. We implemented the rules of the Sandigan Bayan last January, Your Honor. So, ang possibility na ngayon, kung ordinary appeal, open. At least the convicted official will have all the chance to ventilate his side that he is actually innocent. I-review mo na lahat yun eh. As if there is no more decision eh. I think it is a simple resolution. And I think Your Honor, that is one of the important things that I did. So Supreme Court, I was able to convince the en banc. There were some apprehensions. Kaya I convinced Chief Justice Tesli Castro that if you want to leave this court, your retirement, you see to it that the internal rules of the Sandigan Bayan will be approved by the en banc before you retire, which we did. Yan sa tingin ko, one of the things that I did now, sa tingin ko, it's a simple resolution but it has a great impact, Your Honor.
Should you be appointed as the Supreme Court Chief Justice, you will automatically be the chairman of the JBC.
Yes.
Yes. Do you have any reforms in mind regarding JBC?
Well, I told the honorable members a while ago, Your Honor, that you are overburdened with so many applicants. So what do you need? Actually, that you had to increase the number of personnel dito sa front lines, sa screening committee, then in the office of attorney capacity. You have to increase your personnel. And then I do not know how you will address the problem of interviews, because there are so many applicants that you had to interview. Ang problem lang kasi po, to me, this is also the problem with the Supreme Court. If we want to add employees, permanent, ilalagay mo sa plantilla po, may hirap kumuha ng plantilla sa barden. So what we have been doing sa Supreme Court, I think we can apply. In the meantime, we can employ contractual or casual employees. I hope there will be takers, although contractual or casual employees. Hindi, ito lang po ang suggestion ko para sa interview di po may hirap. I do not know this is what you have been doing, because why not require na lang yung staff po ninyo to make a summary of the applicant. Kasi pag ako mismo, when I received your confidential documents for an applicant to justice, ganun kakapal ang binibigay nyo sa amin isa-isa Ang sinasuggest ko lang,
we do not want to hide anything.
Yeah, but what I'm saying, Your Honor, ito sa RTC, bakit na lang gumawa na ng summary? Yung mga summary. And then, if you believe that wala naman problema yon, wag nang interviewin, especially kung first level court pupunta sa second level court or lateral. Di kung makita nyo doon na wala masyadong problema, makikita mo naman how long has been there, ilan ang docket niya, nandun na lahat eh. Kasi I know you have a hard time interviewing eh. No.
Aside from that, what provision in the rules do you want to tweak or improve on?
Well, the last time that I read your rules is when I sat as chairman of the chairman of the JBC when we interviewed the applicants for a Chief Justice in 2012. Meron nagkakaroon ng konting amendment, and I was briefed by then Justice Hermosissima. I think he was in charge of the Security Committee. And then thereafter there were several amendments during the time of, I think, Chief Justice Sereno. No? So I will have to read again the rules, Your Honor, and then I'll ask you. Anyway, any suggestion that I want to suggest will be brought to you for approval. Because as I said, if I will become a Supreme Court and then I will have JBC, I come from a different world and I'm going to a different world, so I have to listen from you.
Justice, my time is up. I have several questions, but I'll just give you this opportunity to say something that which was not covered, which you want to say.
Well, Your Honor, I'm not comparing myself with the others because the other three are also qualified, Your Honor. And before anything else, I have to thank the members of the committee for allowing me to be the first one to be interviewed, because the original schedule was when I was informed alphabetical order, I should have been interviewed in the afternoon, but I requested that I should be if I could be interviewed first in the morning, because I have a Metrobank lecture in the afternoon, and I was coming from South Africa. So I thank you for that, for accommodating me as the first interviewee. Then I will go back to my first statement. I'm not saying I'm not competing with the other applicants. They may also be qualified, Your Honor. We have our own qualities. I have my own qualities. It's up to you to judge us. But what I can only say, Your Honor, sometimes sentimental ako eh. I'm sentimental, no? If I remember what I have experienced since I started working, Your Honor, ay hirap eh. And I think I deserve to be given justice because I worked all these years. I worked very hard all these years. I'm not a top-notch chef. I'm not an honor student. Because that's what they say. Hindi naman ako top-notch chef. Hindi naman ako honor. Why should I do that? But I think I was able to compensate with the work that I've done as a public prosecutor, as a judge, as an associate justice of the Sandigan Bayan, as a presiding justice, associate justice of the Supreme Court, as a lecturer, and a chairman of several committees and members of several committees. I think they are more than enough to compensate what they say that I do not deserve, because I'm not a top-notch here or not an honor student. I hope you have to take those into consideration, that there is hope for an individual like me. Sorry, medyo emotion. That's me, Your Honor. Hindi ako arrogant. That's me. So thank you very much. That's all what I can say. Ganon po ako. That's me. I'm not arrogant. Masamang pakinggan.
Thank you very much, Justice.
And I thank
Your
also for
excuse.
bringing out that. Thank you also for bringing that out. Thank you also for bringing that out, because I had the opportunity to explain who really I am. Thank you po. Very much. Sorry po. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Justice Peralta. We wish you all the best.
Thank you.
The next candidate to be interviewed, Your Honors, is Honorable Justice Jose C. Reyes Jr., Associate Justice of the Supreme Court.
Good morning, Your Honor.
Good morning, Justice. The first one who will interview you will be Judge De Monteverde. Judge De Monteverde.
Thank you, Justice Mendoza. Good morning, Justice Reyes.
Good morning, Judge.
Sometime on August 19 this year, you were declared to be physically and medically fit.
Yes, Your
Am
Honor.
I correct?
Yes, Your Honor, by the Supreme Court Medical Director, Dr. Banzon.
But your medical record states that you have high blood chemistry, which was taken also on August 17, 2 days before the certification,
Yes, Your Honor.
especially on the SGPT, the liver, triglycerides. With this condition, how do you expect to cope with the problem, assuming that you will be appointed as Chief Justice?
Your Honor, I've been in that condition ever since. Sometimes the laboratory tests are normal. Sometimes they go up. Especially so, Your Honor, that for the past months I've not been able to undergo my regular exercise ever since I was appointed to the court, because we don't have an exercise room, unlike in the Court of Appeals. So that may have caused the increase. And aside from the fact that the problem with dieting, Your Honor, so I believe that I will be able to cope up with work here, as I have been doing since, as I have been coping up since last year, Your Honor, when I was appointed to the Supreme Court.
Okay, thank you. You are now 69 years old, and next year you will be retiring.
Yes, Your Honor. I just turned 69 last September 18.
Now, assuming that you will be, again, appointed as Chief Justice, and considering your medical records insofar as blood chemistry is concerned, how will you be able to pursue with your job in so short a time?
Well, Your Honor.
Assuming, again, that you will be appointed as Chief Justice.
Yes. I have my regular diet now, and taking the appropriate medicines, and then I plan to go back to my regular exercise. In fact, Your Honor, if appointed as the Chief Justice, Your Honor, I plan to put up an exercise room in the Supreme Court, just like what we have in the Court of Appeals. So perhaps by undergoing regular exercise and proper diet and whatever medicines are to be taken, Your Honor, I'll be able to cope up with the rigors of the work here, as I have been able to adjust since I was appointed to the court. And I believe, Your Honor, that a person who is nourished physically and even mentally and spiritually, Your Honor, can very well manage and cope up with work here in the court, Your Honor. We know, of course, that the work here is really enormous, but I've been able to adjust fast to the work in the court.
Okay. Now, what will be the future of the judiciary be like under your watch?
Your Honor,
Considering that you only have 1 year.
Yes, Your Honor, I have actually thought of re-engineering the APJR, which was established during the time of former Chief Justice Hilario Davide. If allowed by the court and my colleagues, we can probably come up with an APJR, an action program for judicial reforms, part 2. Although I'm aware of the fact that that requires a lot of budget, Your Honor, but we can probably select some programs that were undertaken during the APJR under the stewardship of former Chief Justice Davide and former Chief Justice Artemio Panganiban, Your Honor. So there are a lot of programs that we can probably adopt, Your Honor.
Will you be introducing or initiating reforms in the judiciary? And if there will be, what reforms could this?
Certainly, Your Honor. I plan to be able to make a significant contribution in order to improve further the image of the Supreme Court and to improve further, Your Honor, the well-being of the justices, the court officials, as well as the rank and file employees in terms of healthy body, healthy mind, and healthy soul. Now, in terms of judicial reforms, let me just mention some of them, Your Honors. The perennial or the most common demand by the public, meaning the common complaint of the public, is the problem of corruption. Former Chief Justice Artemio Panganiban cited in his books 4 major problems in the judiciary. One is a limited access to justice by the poor, and then we have corruption, and then the apparent judicial incompetence, and the last one would be delay. Now, one of the things that I would like to convene, Your Honor, is the Integrity Board, Your Honor,
the Judicial Integrity Board, which actually was the brainchild of my former colleague, Justice Tiham. And this was actually approved by the Supreme Court last year. I believe it was October of 2018. The Judicial Integrity Board should be convened to address complaints concerning judicial misconduct and to provide the appropriate sanctions if necessary, Your Honor. This body will be under the Supreme Court, and this will certainly address some complaints concerning judges, Your Honor. And well, basically it will be composed by a retired Supreme Court Justice as chair, and then as vice chair we have another Supreme Court Justice, and then 3 regular members, Your Honor. Hopefully, if this body is convened and is organized, this could contribute a lot, Your Honor, to addressing the problem of corruption. And then another plan would probably be on the matter of judicial education, Your Honor, by focusing on ethical values and morals, Your Honor, with the help of PhilJA. We actually, personally, I have started to formulate a module that I could probably introduce to PhilJA, being part of PhilJA as one of the members of the core professors. Your Honor, reviewing the curriculum of PhilJA, there appears to be not much about ethical values, focusing on morals and values, Your Honor. So that is one plan that I would like to introduce in order also to address the problem of corruption. And one last thing, Your Honor, we've been talking about orientation of judges. So the justices of the Supreme Court had been talking about putting up an orientation program for the appellate justices, Your Honor, meaning new appellate justices from even the Supreme Court, then the Court of Appeals, CTA, and Sandigan. And
by the way, Justice, you spoke of a legal education. Do you have a short-term and long-term plans for this?
Yes, Your Honor. I mentioned
some of those.
I mentioned already the Judicial Integrity Board, which can already be convened, and then the continuing intellectual and ethical education, Your Honor. And then we have the putting up of other programs for the judges, not only spiritual, not only values formation, but even the usual orientation programs. Your Honor, I would like also to address by strengthening, Your Honor, strengthen and facilitate the expansion of our ongoing programs, Your Honor, like continuous trial. We can already immediately right now, Your Honor, include, as part of the continuous trial program, include the environmental courts. We have about 100, I believe we have about 119 envy courts designated by the Supreme Court, although there are about 19.
Do we still have the environmental courts?
Yes, Your Honor.
I thought they were converted into a general court.
No, we still have, Your Honor. As a matter of fact, we've been conducting seminars all over the Philippines relative to the environmental procedure, Your Honor. So, for those areas where there are no envi courts, then we allow the courts of general jurisdiction to handle courts involving violations of environmental laws.
Okay, thank you, Justice. Let's go to another topic now. And this time, the question is sent to us, and this involves the conduct of the bar exams. It is stated here that the annual bar exams is only conducted in one venue, which is very impractical to those who are living outside Metro Manila. How can this be addressed, and is the solution you have in mind can see the light of day in the next coming year?
Actually, Your Honor, we have been discussing this for quite a long time. We discussed the feasibility of holding or convening and conducting bar exams in 3 areas: Manila, and then Cebu, and perhaps Davao. So, well, one basic consideration, Your Honor, is the budget. But we said that through the filing fees, Your Honor, we might be able to address the problem of budget for the areas Cebu and Mindanao.
So while you are amenable to this, still the budget, the financial concern is
Yes,
there.
one of the
So
main
it will take
considerations.
a lot of time first before implementing this.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. So do you have any programs for those who flunk the bar?
Well, reviewing, we have to address this aspect of continuous education. Maybe right now we require bar flunkers to go back to 4th year. Now, perhaps more schools can offer special courses in addition to going back or taking again the 4th year. There could be special courses, special topics that we could formulate, Your Honors.
Thank you. There are many innovations partially implemented by the Supreme Court, and one of this is the automation of the court processes. Now, what are the challenges in automating court processes, and how will the Chief Justice ensure that automation programs of the judiciary will be effective, considering possible roadblocks?
Yeah. Actually, Your Honor, when I was in the Court of Appeals, we implemented the computerization of our cases, and with actually minimal budget, Your Honor, using the budget of the Court of Appeals. So I believe that with proper training of those involved, meaning the stakeholders, with sincerity on our part to really push through, because insofar as the Court of Appeals, Your Honor, we spoke to all of the justices, all of us, we all agreed to really work hard, and we got the commitment of everyone. That's the reason why the Court of Appeals now has a very little backlog, Your Honor. Now, perhaps, well, in the Court of Appeals, of course, there are 69 justices, Your Honor, but in the Supreme Court, we have 15. But I know that the justices in the court are trying. We have been trying our best, Your Honor, to really cope up by expediting the resolution of cases, and And one, as a matter of fact, Your Honor, we are trying to, with respect to COA cases, Your Honor.
Justice, the red marker is on, and I'll have one question addressed to you. Under the Constitution, members of the Supreme Court shall hold office during good behavior until they reach the age of 70 years. Based on this provision, do you believe that a member of the Supreme Court may be removed from office on the ground of bad behavior?
Well, Your Honor, there is a process by which justices could be disciplined. In fact, Your Honor, the Integrity Board is one of the means by which a justice could be, even a Supreme Court justice could be disciplined, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor. Thank you. Good morning, Your Honor. Your Honor, Your Honor, the primary consideration, meaning the main factor that motivated me in applying for the position of Chief Justice is the opportunity, Your Honor, the opportunity to be of greater service to the Supreme Court, considering the period of time. So I believe, Your Honor, that in this short period of time, I would still be able to come up with a significant contribution. In fact, Your Honor, my first boss, meaning I worked with Chief Justice Felix Macasyar, and I was with him for the 4 months that he was Chief Justice, and I noticed that he has made a lot of contributions, especially in terms of benefits to the employees, Your Honor. So I think independent of the fact that I have friends, I think still the main consideration is my desire, Your Honor, to help the judiciary.
Three of your colleagues in the Supreme Court, declined their nomination as Chief Justice. Is it your impression that they might have felt that they were less prepared than you are to apply for the position of Chief Justice?
Your Honor, I have no basis for making a conclusion with respect to the reasons why they declined, Your Honor, and we never actually discussed the matter. So, as a matter of fact, Your Honor, I applied on the last day, not even knowing that they have declined, Your Honor. So I don't think that can be considered as a factor in my applying, Your Honor.
You share with me the vision of having judges who are ethical. Do you consider the grant of allowances to judges by LGU?
Honestly, Your Honor, it's not a matter of being unethical. It's improper, Your Honor. In fact, that happens to be one of my plans, Your Honor, in order to isolate judges and even justices, Your Honor, because the Court of Appeals justices in the Visayas and Mindanao are receiving allowances from the local governments. My plan or my proposal really, Your Honor, is to integrate local allowances or allowances from local governments, to integrate them and bring them to the Supreme Court and let the Supreme Court distribute or give the allowances. But there must be we have to formulate a mechanism in order to arrive at an equitable distribution of the allowances. See, because those from cities where they give very high allowances might also complain. So to address that, Your Honor, we have to formulate an equitable manner of distributing this. In this manner, in this way, Your Honor, it will prevent the judges from being beholden to the local governments.
Considering your affiliation, other extrajudicial activities to concentrate on your work as Chief Justice?
I have managed all this time, Your Honor. I have managed to work. I have managed to keep the organizations, because being a member of this religious, if you'll notice, Your Honor, they are religious organizations. And these religious organizations, my membership there constitute a shield against corruption, shield against wrongdoings. So they've been contributory to my success, Your Honor. And yes, Your Honor.
You have to manage a judicial bureaucracy to ensure that the performance of judges are effectively monitored, and also the performance of lawyers who are under the supervision are also monitored.
Yeah. Okay. Yes, Your Honor. My service as a lay minister comes only on Sundays, 1 hour, where we give communion to the parishioners. So that will not be a problem, Your Honor. In Couples for Christ, Your Honor, we have a monthly prayer meeting in the evening. So that's about twice a month in the evening, Your Honor. So we have about 2 hours. Now, with respect to the Knights of Columbus, actually, Your Honor, my being a North Deputy has ended this July, Your Honor. So there's only one work that I do with respect to the Knights of Columbus, being a member of the Board of Trustees, Your Honor, of the Knights of Columbus, which, of course, doesn't really require much of an attendance. But, Your Honor, most of my activities are done on weekends.
You are now number 10 or 11 in the seniority?
I think 9 or 10, Your Honor, because of the retirement of Justice Ardeleza. Yes, Your Honor. Perhaps, Your Honor, because I've been with the court for about a year now, and the best attitude should be the act of humility in relation to the other justices, Your Honor. You just have to be very humble, explain to them as a matter of fact, during our deliberations, Your Honor, we've been taught how to deal each other professionally, deal with each other respectfully, Your Honor. I have no problem with that, Your Honor. In fact, for about a year, I have maintained a good working relationship with the division members and in bank, especially so, Your Honor, that right now 5 of the new justices are my former colleagues in the Court of Appeals, Your Honor. So perhaps there will be no problem with respect to presiding or getting their cooperation, Your Honor. It's just a matter of maintaining a good working relationship, Your Honor, with utmost humility and respect. Well, I think, Your Honor, my attitude as an individual, Your Honor, I have always maintained respect, courtesy, humility in dealing with people, Your Honor, and the element of religiosity, Your Honor. Yes, hopefully, Your Honor, because we've had problems with that anywhere. But the computerization and the improvement of our system in the Supreme Court is actually in our agenda, Your Honor, and there's budget, including internet access, Your Honor, in order to help us dispose of cases expeditiously, Your Honor.
Filing big cases with the CTA So to avoid being sued before the CTA and thus having to pay huge non-refundable fees, taxpayers hope to negotiate with the BIR. If such a problem truly exists, as Chief Justice, what measures will you
Actually, what
you implement to address this problem? And corollary to that is also the claim against high fine fees. Will you be amenable to recommend moderating the judicial fine fees to a reasonable level?
actually, Your Honor, lately this has been the subject of discussion, Your Honor, meaning with respect to a little reduction or perhaps giving appropriate discounts, especially involve those cases involving corporate commercial courts where the filing fees are very high. What we can probably do is maybe instead of giving discounts, we can have partial payment of filing fees if the amount is so large. Your Honor, a couple of years ago, there was a proposal to adjust the filing fees of our courts several years ago, but I think that was deferred. But there was a plan to allow the filing of docket fees by installments. And perhaps, Your Honor, we can revive that. I can revive that particular scheme where we can allow partial or payment by installment of docket fees. And computerization, Your Honor, I think in the lower courts, payments of filing fees are done through computerization, Your Honor. I believe, Your Honor, my religious beliefs, my religiosity has helped me a lot in pursuing my career in the judiciary, Your Honor. Meaning, by religiosity, it's my love for God and my love for country. You know, as a member of the Knights of Columbus, we have always been taught about the two basic commandments, Your Honor, love of God and love of neighbor. So I have no problem with, continuing with my beliefs, my religiosity being God-fearing. In fact, Your Honor, it has helped me a lot. And I would not be here, Your Honor, if I did not believe in faith, in God, Your Honor.
In Bali, Indonesia, there is a proposed legislation to ban premarital sex. If the same law is adopted in the Philippines, as a magistrate, would you consider that constitutional or unconstitutional?
Well, Your Honor, a relationship between a man and a woman should end with marriage, Your Honor. Meaning, even as an individual, Your Honor, I would not allow a relationship that is not based on law, even moral or civil law, Your Honor, and canon law. So it may not be appropriate, Your Honor, or it may not be legal to have a relationship without the benefit of a blessing or without a benefit of compliance with the law, Your Honor.
So, in that sense, if that kind of a law is passed by Congress in the Philippines, banning premarital sex, and a petition is filed before the Supreme Court, will you vote to strike down that law as unconstitutional
Well,
or constitutional?
it will be premature
Hypothetically, just for purposes of academic discussion.
if it's really unconstitutional. I mean, if it violates the law of the land, then it would certainly be
Is
unconstitutional.
there a provision of the Constitution you can think of that will be violated or that will protect premarital sex?
Right now, Your Honor, I have no idea if there's, but as far as the family code is concerned, Your Honor, the family code protects marriage, Your Honor, meaning as an institution.
Is premarital sex,
No.
to your recollection, between two consenting unmarried adults violative of the revised penal code or any special law for that matter?
No, I would say it's violative of moral law, Your Honor, meaning it's law and morals. Well, if two consenting adults live together, then it may either constitute perhaps adultery or concubinage, whatever be the meaning, depending on the circumstances, Your Honor. If they are not married, then perhaps it would be.
But offhand, you cannot think of any provision of the revised penal code that punishes
premarital sex, Your Honor.
premarital sex.
No, it's simply adultery, Your Honor, and concubinage.
Both unmarried
Yes,
couples.
because that would be, well, for me, Your Honor, as a Catholic, it's immoral for two people to engage in premarital sex, Your Honor.
All right, that's the last of my question. Thank
Thank
you
you.
and good luck.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you very much, Justice Tian. Judge Ilaw.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Justice Mendoza. Yes, good morning, Justice Joey Reyes.
Good morning,
Can
Your
I
Honor.
call you Joey?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, you were awarded most active officer in college. Could you tell us about this award?
That award, Your Honor, was given when I was in the College of Art and Sciences, Your Honor. I was very active as president of the Political Science Club or Association, Your Honor. So that earned me the award as the most active officer that year, Your Honor, as president of the Political Science Club, because at that time, the Political Science Club was the right arm, meaning it was we had the Student Council, and the Political Science Club or Association was the shall we say, the right arm of the Student Council, Your Honor. And I was very active then as an officer, as president of the club.
How about this one Medrano Service Award?
This is for, Your Honor, this is for 25 years of service in De La Salle as a faculty, Your Honor. I was given that award for teaching for 25 years. That's in De La Salle. In fact, Your Honor, just the other day, I received a service award for 40 years of service to the LaSallian education. So 40 years as a part-time instructor, Your Honor.
So, most outstanding part-time faculty,
In 1 year, Your Honor.
De La Salle University. And you are teaching what subjects in La Salle University?
For many years, Your Honor, I've been a member of the commercial law department, and we handle legal management students, Your Honor. So we teach the common law subjects in the undergraduate, Your Honor. We have obligations and contracts, partnership and corporation, and then we have sales, agency, and the law on negotiable instruments, Your Honor. These are the common subjects. But in legal management, Your Honor, I taught civil procedure, civil law and procedure in the legal management, Your Honor, because legal management is a pre-law subject. So there are more law subjects in legal management than in the usual Bachelor of Arts in Business Administration. So since LaSalle offered legal management, we've been handling, me and my other colleagues there, been handling teaching the regular law subjects that are usually also offered in the College of Law, Your Honor. But of course, it's not so really, it's not very intensive, Your Honor. We just give them a little of everything.
What's next? Part-time member of the Judiciary or the court? How often do you go abroad?
No, how often do I teach?
Go abroad.
Oh, when there is training of the Knights of Columbus, maybe twice a year, Your Honor, and we have the convention of the Knights of Columbus, Your Honor. And usually, my trip covers only about 7 to 8 days, Your Honor. And I usually avail of my the usual leave, or if I have my the wellness leave, Your Honor, which is 15 days, I usually utilize that, Your Honor. And the expenses that we incur in traveling, Your Honor, is paid for by the Knights of Columbus in the United States. And I want to assure Your Honor that court work is not prejudiced during my absence, Your Honor.
What is your present caseload? 976?
In the Supreme Court, Your Honor?
Yes.
I believe so, Your Honor.
How about your average monthly disposition?
On the average, Your Honor, should be about, including, because we have the full-length decisions, and we have the signed and unsigned resolutions, and then we have also minute resolutions, Your Honor. Altogether, with respect to full-length decisions, we come up with at least an average of about 15 cases. If we sum up, if we sum up my decisions from January of this year up to August, there are times when I dispose of decisions full length, an average of 20 or even sometimes 25, Your Honor. So, but if we equalize them, Your Honor, probably it would average about, including the signed or the minute resolutions, Your Honor, maybe about 20 to 30 cases, Your Honor. This would include our resolutions of new petitions, which we act expeditiously by dismissing them or denying them.
All right, records on hand that there is the gross neglect of duty filed by Attorney Dennis C. Pangan Jr. And this was case against you. It was dismissed, but reminded to meticulously supervise staff in the preparation of the decision to avoid recurrence of the same incidents in the future. Could you briefly explain this administrative case filed against you by a certain attorney Dennis C. Pangan Jr.? This may be on the December 23, 2008. It must be a
2000.
long time ago, but it still appears on record.
It was filed against me, Your Honor.
Yes, please.
In
2008.
2008. All of, well, this must have been filed while I was in the Court of Appeals. But all of my pending cases there, Your Honor, have been dismissed.
Yeah, there's no quarrel about this. That has been dismissed. But you were reminded to meticulously supervise staff in the preparation of the decision to avoid recurrence of the same incidents in the future.
Well, Your Honor, if there was such a directive, Your Honor, I believe I have been very meticulous in supervising my staff in the Court of Appeals and, Your Honor, and even here in the Supreme Court, Your Honor. I have been meticulously supervising, especially my lawyers, in the drafting of reports, Your Honor, to avoid being sued administratively, Your Honor. I'm sorry, I cannot recall the facts of that case, Your Honor, but if there was indeed such a directive, Your Honor, I assure you that I have been very meticulous in resolving cases and seeing to it that there will be no impropriety, Your Honor.
All right, likewise, there is quite a discrepancy in your cash deposit declaration in your 2018 SALT end, 900,000. And your PDS is about 5,796,408 by almost 5 million pesos. Could you explain this discrepancy?
Well, that includes, Your Honor, my real property assets, Your Honor. The total in my SALN of 2018, that includes real property and personal properties, Your Honor. So that's the reason why it went up to 5 million, Your Honor.
All right, let's go to another point. What did you learn in law school subjects or subject that has proven to be least useful?
Well,
you've been teaching law subjects.
I've always...
And you've been also a law student.
Well, my primary interest, Your Honor, was in legal ethics and judicial ethics. That was my primary concern then. I took that subject.
Legal ethics is not useful?
No, it is useful, Your Honor. I thought I didn't get it right, Your Honor. I found legal ethics very useful.
No, the question is, what are the subjects proven to be least useful?
At that time, Your Honor, we had legal accounting at that time, Your Honor. We had legal accounting of 1 unit at that time in San Beda, Your Honor, in law school. So it wasn't really so serious in the sense that the treatment of the subject was so light, Your Honor. I'm sure we all have in San Beda took up legal accounting. And then uh, the treatment was, we meet only once a week because it's a one-unit subject. So the treatment was very light, Your Honor. So we didn't really benefit so much from that subject, Your Honor. It's legal accounting of one unit, Your Honor. I don't know if it's still offered now, Your Honor, but during our time, we had one unit of legal accounting. As a matter of fact, I remember Professor, I forgot his name. He was the one handling legal accounting. Kyoge, Attorney Kyoge was the one.
Kyoge, Papa Funeral Parlor.
He was the one handling, although he, he's not connected with the funeral parlor, but Attorney Kyoge was a very good professor, except that he actually also handled taxation, Your Honor. But he was assigned to teach legal accounting, and he just treated it lightly because it's only one unit, Your Honor. So it didn't really help us so much, Your Honor.
All right, when you become Chief Justice, you will become the leader of the entire judiciary, a co-equal branch of the government, and all employees of all courts from the Supreme Court to the lowest court in the farthest island. We look up to you. How would you describe yourself as a boss and a leader?
Well, a compassionate one, Your Honor, and showing my love for them. In this way, Your Honor, when Justice Macasiar became Chief Justice, Your Honor, all benefits as a sign of compassion and love for the benefit for the lowly rank and file employees, not only in the court but even in the provinces. He made sure, Your Honor, that all benefits are transmitted to the local employees first before we receive our benefits, Your Honor, here in the Supreme Court. So that was how he loved so much the rank and file employees in the provinces. So I would like to emulate that and follow the same procedure by giving the benefits first to the employees in the provinces, Your Honor, showing compassion and probably a little bit of humility and addressing whatever problems they have, Your Honor.
And what excites you most about this position as Chief Justice of the Supreme Court?
I'm sorry, Your Honor, I wouldn't say excite, but I would say that it's a challenge. It's challenging, it's more challenging to me to lead. As much as I had a chance to lead organizations like the Knights of Columbus, where before I had the opportunity to lead 122,000 members in the Luzon North, Your Honor. I have managed to be humble. I've managed to be compassionate. I managed to motivate, you know. So I think it's, aside from compassion, perhaps, Your Honor, I would be motivational, meaning I can go to the provinces and motivate the working men and women in the provinces, in the different courts, motivate them to work seriously, work compassionately, Your Honor, loving their jobs. So part of my task probably, Your Honor, is to motivate. After all, a leader should learn how to motivate his followers or his employees, Your Honor. So that is one thing that I would probably do if selected as, if nominated and if appointed later on as Chief Justice, Your Honor.
All right, my last question will be, if you were a car, what type would you be? Are you fond of cars?
You mean a fancy car or a useful car?
Whatever car.
Not necessarily the brand, Your Honor.
The brand.
I would probably be using a Toyota Vios, Your Honor.
No, the
Which
question is what type would you be?
What type?
Not using it.
What type would it be not using it, Your Honor?
If you were a car, so what type would you be?
A sedan?
Why?
Because it's small and I can move easily, Your Honor, because it's a small car.
Small car.
Yeah, a sedan, Your Honor.
And what's your height?
5'10" and a half, Your Honor.
All right.
Because I have tried Vios, Your Honor. I can easily move, meaning move it back, and I could easily fit in.
So, way back in school, you had driven Volkswagen.
No, Your Honor. I only started to drive in 1983, Your Honor. I was no longer in law school. The best that I could use then was a jeepney, Your Honor, in Sampaloc. So I didn't have a car at that time. But my first car was a Mitsubishi Mirage, Your Honor, which is a small car. And I used it for many years, despite my height, Your Honor. Very comfortable.
Okay, thank you. That was my last and final question. Thank you and good luck, Justice.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you very much, Judge Silao. Justice Reyes, good morning.
Good morning, Your Honor.
I have read a few of your ponentias now. In what case did you demonstrate your judicial philosophy? What is your justification for your judicial philosophy?
Well, basically, Your Honor, my judicial philosophy is to adhere at all times to the rule of law. To the rule of law and the Constitution, Your Honor. And I have actually demonstrated this, Your Honor, in one new case that the court has decided, Your Honor. Although this is the case of Pursuant, Your Honor. I'm sure a lot of us are aware of the Philippine law school admission test, Your Honor. So in deciding that case, I was guided no less than by the Constitution, because the issue of the constitutionality of Pursuant was raised, Your Honor. So we managed to declare portions of the law unconstitutional, Your Honor. But the Pursuant remains and continues with provisions wrong, or shall we say, we deleted provisions that are unconstitutional, but we proceeded with the remainder of the law, Your Honor. I can discuss further if you would like, Your Honor, although this case has not really been officially released, because although it was approved September 10, the other members of the court have not really signed, although we have already resolved that, Your Honor.
You have been in the Supreme Court for more than a year, or have you suggested reforms in the Supreme Court or Judiciary? Were they adopted, if any?
Not yet, Your Honor.
You have suggested any reform in the rules?
In the rules, Your
Yes.
Honor. We, insofar as the rules on environmental procedure, Your Honor, there is one aspect there on Rule 20 which deals, there's one part which deals with the so-called precautionary principle, Your Honor, in the rules of procedure for environmental cases. There had been a lot of cases resolved, but not strictly applying, not applying the precautionary principle, Your Honor, which is being treated in that rule as a new type of evidence, Your Honor. So I would like to propose that the precautionary principle should be implemented, Your Honor.
Should you be appointed the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court, what reforms would you introduce in the JBC? Because you will be automatically chairman of the JBC.
One, Your Honor, is the reduction of the vacancy rate. As of August 30, 2019, the vacancy rate has gone up to 30%. So perhaps the JBC can be probably prompted to be more aggressive in addressing the timely appointment of the bright and the brightest, Your Honor. So filling up the vacancy, Your Honor, and we hope to be able to use this to address the problem of delay in the dispensation of justice, because the more we fill up more courts, the lesser would be the backlog, Your Honor. I know that the JBC has been doing its best to fill up vacancies, but also, Your Honor, we have to consider the fact that a lot of judges have been retiring, and so even if the JBC is aggressive in filling up vacancies, the problem is more and more judges are retiring. So I don't know if we can still be more active in really. Oh, Your Honor, one solution would be Justice Panganiban, during his time, suggested a special school for lawyers, who will aspire to become career judges. This is a school that would probably be under PhilJA, Your Honor.
This is different from prejudicature program of the PhilJA? Is this different?
Yes, Your Honor. Prejud is only offered for 10 days, Your Honor. But this one is similar to what we have in DFA. It's similar to the Foreign Service Institute, where actually, Your Honor, I was starting to develop a curriculum for this special program, a curriculum for young lawyers who may want to become career judges. So it could be a one-year course for young aspiring lawyers, and then they will be trained in law as well as trained in morals and ethics, Your Honor. So probably that will help us searching for more judges, hiring and appointing them, Your Honor.
So what rule would you want in the JBC? What rule do you want to tweak or amend to improve the organization? JBC.
Meaning, if
What you want to amend? What provisions in the rules of the JBC do you want to amend or reform for the improvement of the service?
well, right now, really, Your Honor, honestly, I see that there is enough. Meaning, we have a good set of rules in the JBC, Your Honor. The only problem really is just, appointing, processing, and searching, and then processing of applications, Your Honor. We cannot enlarge the membership, Your Honor. I think we have enough members to evaluate, Your Honor. So that's the reason why, Your Honor, I wanted to introduce a separate, meaning a school for judges. It might contribute to the speedy processing of or appointment of future judges, Your Honor.
If appointed, appointed as Chief Justice, would you be in favor of monitoring the mental health of the appointees?
Of the candidates, Your Honor.
Yes, appointees, already appointed.
Yes, certainly, Your Honor. It is best that we continue monitoring not only the physical health, but even the mental health of employees, Your Honor. Especially so now that we have a health card for the Supreme Court employees, and I would like to propose that this HMO, because I am now the chair of the Committee on Health and Welfare in the Court, Your Honor. When I was chair of the Health Committee, Health and Welfare in the Supreme Court, we covered everybody, Your Honor. All the judges, all the justices, right? So, similarly, Your Honor, we can try to give health cards or HMO to all employees, meaning up to the lower courts. And this will give the HMO the opportunity to examine the employees, Your Honor. And the employees can similarly present themselves to undergo medical, physical, and mental health examinations. In fact, Your Honor, in the Court of Appeals, I have introduced that as one of the items to be covered by the HMO in the Court of Appeals, meaning conducting psychological tests to all the employees, Your Honor. Psychological, as in addition to the physical aspect, Your Honor. So I think we can do that also in the Supreme Court, Your Honor.
In the when I was in the Supreme Court, we also covered lower court employees, but they had problems. There were so many few hospitals accredited. How would you address that so that they will be enticed to be covered again by the health provider?
Yeah, I have spoken to the management of the health card right now, the health card that we have right now in the Supreme Court, Your Honor, and they said that they can handle the number of employees that we have, numbering about 20,000 or so employees in the lower courts, Your Honor.
They can handle, but let me just say, the institutions, accredited institutions, were very few then. They were complaining that they had to go to faraway
Yes.
areas to be
to be treated.
yes, to be treated and examined like that.
Now, this present net HMO that we have, Your Honor, according to them, they can very well, because they can very well handle the needs of our lower court employees, because they have several accredited doctors and hospitals all over the Philippines, Your Honor. So hopefully, Your Honor, we can address the problems of our lower court employees with this new HMO, Your Honor. Of course, there is no assurance that with my personal monitoring efforts, Your Honor, we might just be able, we can test them for this year, Your Honor, then perhaps next year. It depends on the evaluation that we will have. We might be able to offer this to the lower court employees with much success, Your Honor.
Our time is up. I will give you this opportunity to say what you want to say pursuant to your aspiration as a Chief Justice.
Your Honor, I would just want to be remembered as, sometimes they refer to me as an academic justice, Your Honor. Academic justice. PhilJA people had been calling me not a bishop. When I was in the Court of Appeals, they called me bishop fondly because of my participation in religious activities, Your Honor. But knowing, being an academic justice now, Your Honor, I am passionate about continuing with our judicial education, but focusing on ethics, Your Honor. I would love to see ethical judges as much as we want to have unethical lawyers, Your Honor. And hopefully, Your Honor, hopefully we can have a judiciary that is, again, independent, efficient and effective, and we have a legal profession that is ethical, Your Honor. We have a legal profession composed of ethical lawyers, Your Honor. So that is just my parting words, Your Honor. Hopefully, being a professor of 40 years, I might just be able to contribute something towards judicial training or intellectual training of judges, Your Honor. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you very much, Justice Reyes. You are excused.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you very much, Your Honor, Justice Reyes. We wish you the best of luck. Your Honors, it's 12 o'clock already. We shall resume at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. So that concludes today's this morning's public interview.